Welcome to the Art of Succession podcast with Barrett Young. Join us as we explore the strategies, stories, and insights that shape the journey of leadership transitions and business success. No matter where you find yourself along the journey, this is the podcast where you'll find the tools to make it happen.
If I'm working in the business, there's no way I can build relationships or do the research necessary to pivot when necessary. If I am your agent, you're never surprised. Like, you're never going to have a claim and then say, wait, I didn't know that. I will let you walk first before I sell you an inferior policy. I see a lot of myself in my staff in that they are always wanting to educate, always wanting to solve all the problems.
Welcome back to part 2 of my interview with Nakeia Mack. If you're interested in part 1 of our discussion, you can find that linked here. Otherwise, let's get back into the episode. Talk to me about deciding to expand beyond yourself because, for sure as an insurance agent, you might get, part-time admin or something like that. Or if there's, of probably the national carrier would do admin for you too if you pay him an amount, or I'm sure that's probably in there. So why did you hire?
So very quickly, I knew that my purpose had to be bigger than making money because this is a hard industry. Contrary to popular belief, agents don't like to see rates increase, right? That's all. Those are very hard conversations. And we are not exempt from those increases. I always say, well, who do I talk to when my rate goes up? So I had to find a greater purpose. And a part of that was providing employment. I have right now all female staff, and
two, I think.
Two. And I am actually looking to onboard a third really soon.
Great.
And all of them are, one of them is a mom, and she is one of my favorite people. Just seeing her grow is one of the most rewarding things. And none of my staff had insurance experience. So just seeing people come in and flourish was my goal. And I can't say that it doesn't help me, right? I wanted to very quickly, I always want to skip to the good part, right? So I wanted to get to a place where I was working on the business and not in the business. I am still very much working in the business, but I have solid people. And so I never went into this wanting to be a one-man show, ever.
Gotcha. So you got some E-Myth in there from Michael Gerber. That it's not a surprise. You're a reader if you're a learner. So how soon, to go from entrepreneur, to go from employee to business owner to now employer, that is a shift. That's 2 shifts in mindset there. Did you know from stepping in there that this is where you were heading? Or did it take, was it a year of running the agency by yourself and you're like, I don't want to do this by myself? Tell me about that shift.
I hired people almost immediately.
Okay.
Because it wasn't a scratch agency. And so
you had some cash flow there
right.
Yep.
And I never wanted my clients to feel like they were being shortchanged because I was a new agent. So we needed to hit the ground running, including understanding. I was so afraid that I would just say the wrong thing. So I spent nights up reading RMPs and I have to know this I know my name. And so it was never an option not to have that support because I knew that my client base would feel the lack of support if I didn't hire immediately. So it didn't take long. It was immediate almost.
Current employees that you have now, or did you?
So some have changed.
Okay. So you needed support and you were a new person. So you hired somebody that had experience then. Is that correct?
You would think so, right?
No. Had it on the resume.
Well, so my first employee did. She had some experience, and I think from that relationship, I learned that you hire people for what you can't do. So our dynamic worked like a puzzle because our personalities are different. Like, I'm very much by the book. Not that she wasn't, but she's very much, I'm just gonna jump in here and figure this out. Where I'm like, no, no, we gotta read it first. It's 1,000 pages. We can't do anything until we read the 1,000th page. Where she's like, I think I've read enough. Let's see if it works.
Assemble the parachute on the way down.
Exactly. And I think I needed a little bit of that.
Definitely some of that in entrepreneurship.
Right.
There's no book. What about now? What do I do?
No. And so, like, I find myself building the book.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, she had a little bit of experience, more than I did for sure. But she was experiencing a different way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you've got employees from day one. You knew that you wanted to be working in the business, on the business, not in the business. I mean, in your mind, what does that look like in a small agency of 3 to 4 people where you are the agent? What's that look like?
It looks like, not like my people being confident enough to handle the operations piece, and I am looking at all the things that makes the agency great, right? So making sure that operations still make sense, making sure that we have various ways of prospecting. Like, if I'm working in the business, there's no way I can like build relationships or kind of do the research necessary to pivot when necessary. I can't be selling all day. I do sell because I have a point to prove. Like, if I give objectives, my staff know, they can see I am the example that this can be done, because I think that's important. But working on the agency is just, having that bird's eye view, because somebody has to.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you have other agents working under you, they're doing half the commissions or a third of the commissions or whatever the case might be. You're still closing just as much as you're asking them to at this point. But then are you passing off that relationship to the team? I mean, how does that work? To get out of working in it to working on it?
So I think time blocking is the method that I've been using. So I go in every Saturday and I'm just like pulling back the cabinets, like making sure that just everything is going the way it's every week. Just let's look at what we did for the week. What can we do differently? Building out trackers to look at, where are our lead sources and which lead sources do I need to increase? And here's the plan to do this. In that time, I may have a customer walk in and, needing a review, or a new, a prospect wanting a quote. So it's just kind of allotting enough time to be able to do both.
What's that look like? Is it just that Saturday? Is it one day out of 6, or is it like 20% of your time you're trying to focus on high level stuff, or how does that work for you?
It's daily.
So that's the way it should be. Okay.
So this. You may call the agency, and the likelihood of you getting me is probably, so I make myself available the first portion of the day so that my staff can kind of prepare to just, they have to come in and then they're on. So I'm taking the service calls. I'm taking the calls from the existing book of business, the people who only want to speak to me to make a payment, the people who need to discuss claims, I'm working in the business for the first 2 or 3 hours of the day. Like, I am the front man. I am the person who's going to answer the phones. And then on Saturdays, I am looking at like my cancellation list, right? Because it gives me an opportunity to see what my staff is doing. If I didn't work in the business at all, I would not be able to see, are we really doing what we're supposed to do? So it has to be a balance. So I'm doing some of that every day.
So about half of each day during the normal work week, and then all day Saturday, that's like your fun project, I'm sure. So I feel the same way about marketing I'm like, if I can just do this on Monday through Friday so I can shoot videos on Saturday, I'm like, it doesn't feel like a work day for me at that point.
Right.
So I totally understand that. Okay. Um, Give me some, it can't have all been amazing for the past 4 years. So share with me some lessons learned, some of those. Wow. You said a while ago, if I would have known then what I know now, I probably would have walked away at that point. So talk to me about that.
Um, I am an anxious person by nature, and so just if people gave me the bad, I wouldn't have. It just wouldn't have been worth the risk. I don't think, because I probably would have doubted myself. No, it's not all amazing. It like having to have conversations, especially in today's economy, about like I have clients who say, "Listen, like I can't pay this insurance bill and go grocery shopping." Those conversations are hard because I don't have all the answers. So, but I feel like they deserve answers. They deserve solutions if I can offer them. And I think that is one of the things that makes my agency unique. My staff, I see a lot of myself in my staff, and that they are always wanting to educate, always wanting to solve all the problems. And then just, you know, losing people, because a lot of my book of business is elderly, right? And so just time makes it hard. So no, it's not all amazing. I think overall, just being able to share the knowledge that I have makes it worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I mean, not having foresight or foreknowledge of the future is kind of a grace, like a good
Yeah,
thing
for
to us,
sure.
because we would collapse under that pressure.
Hmm.
But I could take it one day at a time or one week, like today's problems for today's Barrett. That's future Barrett that gets to worry about that. A little bit of,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay. I get that. Yeah. So how do you, I mean, when you hit something like that, how do you stay positive? How do you tackle it? I mean, obviously you work hard, you learn everything you can about things, but what I know those conversations could be stressful, and as an empathetic person, you take a lot of that home with you and everything. How do you get up in the morning and continue to do it when faced with things like that?
I think I committed early on to doing what's best for the client, even if that's helping them shop, right? And a lot of my clients come back to me for that reason. I have so many agents who make it really hard for like clients to cancel, and it leaves a like a really bad taste in the client's mouth when they can't just call and cancel.
Yeah.
They have to
Jump through
jump through.
hoops
Yeah,
and
like
sign stuff and come into the office and give me it in paper and all this kind of stuff. Yep.
so I always tell my clients, listen, I am your agent until I'm not. And so if you're shopping, let's look at those quotes together. It's going to be really easy for you to find a lower rate, but I don't want you to lead with that when shopping, because you're going to get a lower rate, but that may not be the protection that you have now. And I can say that because I prioritize protection. So if somebody comes to me and they have equal or better protection at a lower rate, I'm going to say it's time. So prioritizing what's best for my clients is what helps me. Like, it was the other agent won fair and square. And my agent will my client will always remember that I did what was best for them.
I mean, you've solidified me forever. So, 2 months ago, we had a conversation because my daughter just got her driver's license, and you shared yours was in a similar boat. Yeah, you had a kid in a similar boat, but just you reminded me in that conversation. Yes, I was shocked by the premiums, which are about equivalent to what me and my wife pay as two full-grown drivers.
Yeah.
But you helped me see you guys are not the cheapest, and I'm not looking for the cheapest. I know I can find cheaper out there, and they'll jack my rates up over the next 2 to 3 years anyways to get
Yeah.
me where I'm at. But you helped me see that this is insurance, and this is shielding your assets, not necessarily just a an expense on your daughter's side. So
Correct. Exactly.
I'm like, you're right. I would not think twice about paying that on like a errors and omissions
Mm-hmm.
insurance or general,
Ex-
liability within the
exactly.
company, or
Mm-hmm.
even like, taking care of my team with short-term disability or something like that. So like, oh yeah, when I stopped thinking like a broke 17-year-old myself trying to buy my first policy and having the context of what prices were like 25 years ago, I'm like, stop
Yeah.
that. You need to stop that. So,
Right.
and that conversation was just like, nope, Nakeia's right. We're going to make this work. And I totally appreciate that, that relationship there, and just empathy that I felt through that conversation and understanding and everything like that. So, yeah. So you didn't have that knowledge 4 years ago prior to. So,
No.
so is
And
that just from having these conversations
that, and
six
then
times
just
a day for the past 4 years?
and seeing the damage that like a claim could do. And we're not just talking about like physical damage. We're talking about like financial devastation due to liability. Like it's so many components that your policy cover. Like we are trained. First of all, I think we have the wrong understanding of the purpose of insurance. And a lot of us think that it's like a social program. Like it's not a social benefit, right? These are corporations in it to make money. If you can self-insure, you would. So, like just learning exactly what it does and to see it work the way that it's supposed to work helps me have those conversations. Because like it feels, yeah, we're paying $200-300 a month, but then when your car is totaled and you have a loan, then you know what I mean, like but it's hard for like human beings only see best case scenario most times, and so it takes devastation to see. And I always say, if I am your agent, you're never surprised. Like you're never going to have a claim and then say, wait, I didn't know that. I will let you walk first before I sell you an inferior policy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else, Nakeia, that I didn't cover or that you wanted to bring up, just about, taking over the agency, building it, growing it, all that kind of stuff that gets you excited?
I just think having the opportunity to be an employer, being able to provide opportunity is beyond anything that I could have imagined. I have like a such a strong relationship with my staff and even with my clients. Just being in this position, even though it's not always fun, it just puts me in a position to be able to do good work, right? All the way around. Just even if ultimately the relationship, like we have to separate, even like temporarily, I feel good about sending my clients off with knowledge that they didn't have before, and providing my staff with opportunities that they may not have otherwise had.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. And that's hard to convey to somebody that's not been an employer and has only ever had negative, corporate relationships with their employers and everything, like the contentious, like it's us versus them, make sure everything's documented, all that kind of stuff. Employees bring heartache and bring pain, and you
They do.
invest in a great employee, and then they say they left for a cheaper policy, almost like it just
Yeah.
um, so they it rips your heart out. But then at the same time, it's like you'll get there as you move away from working in the business and everything. At this point, I'm no longer doing this for my clients. The client relationships are great. I love the phone conversations and everything like that, but you can only do so much if you're the center of all of that attention, if you're the one that everybody has to talk to. And you see that it's not just you plus two people equals the effort of three people. It's like, no, the effort of three is more like the effort of 6, 7, it just expands or exponentially grows the more you guys know what you're about. So that's awesome. Do you guys have core values? Have you ever done anything like that with the agency over the past 4 years? Thought about like vision and what we stand for, and obviously, I know you've talked about like why you feel you're different, but do you guys do retreats or do you talk about stuff like that? What do you do for culture within the company?
I think I think we have bursts of like cultural evaluation almost daily, right? Just because when you start to see staff as like people, I am a person that likes to plan for like the long term. So it took me a long time to see that like these relationships, while great, may only be temporary. And so I think the hardest part is really, and like you said, investing in people who may not be here next year,
Yeah,
but
it's
to
tough.
like enjoy the relationship in the moment and value the people for what they contribute to your business. And so yes, culturally, I think I've been lucky because I'm very slow to hire. They have to be a good fit. Like I do personality tests, and
Which one?
we use ideal traits.
Okay.
And so, and it's not a tell-all, right? But it gives you a good idea as to if the person will be a good fit. And it's not always 100%. It's never 100%, but it's not always accurate. And things are ever changing, right? So you may hire somebody who was a great fit in the beginning and then life happened, or just their perspective of things change. So I think we create our core values on the fly, right? So dealing with our clients, and just prioritizing them, it kind of defines our core values. So it's understood that like we don't sell terrible policies just to check the box that we wrote an item. I don't feel good about that. Every single time I get a notification of a claim, I'm like, did I write this? Because if I wrote it, I know that all the things are there. But I acquired a book of business, and it wasn't just like, it's just those core values play a part in everything that you do. And so because of that, everything that you do defines those core values. So it's just every day.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, I heard an analogy once that helped me a lot with that and said that your business is like a tree. You've got roots, you've got branches, and you've got leaves. And your roots are like the foundation of the business. The people who've been there a long time, they're foundational. The branches, are supported by the roots and, they reach out and that's how you get a lot of stuff done. And then you have leaves and leaves leave. That's what leaves do.
Yeah, that is true.
And leaves are here for a short time and they make the tree look really good. And you don't want to be a tree without leaves because that means you don't have any life. But you don't be mad at a leaf because it's not a branch. Enjoy
I
and,
like
and
that.
invest into feed the leaves while they're there. But then know that they're going to go off and they're not going to be part of the tree for long term. And that really helped me. Yeah, if somebody's here for a year, it's like, well, I'm never going to hire somebody again because of that. It's like, no, invest into that person while they're here so that they speak well of you when they leave. And it's, not everybody's going to become a partner. Not
That is
everybody's going
true.
to become a CPA. Not everybody's going to be, stay here for 35 years just because we've had some that have. So, yeah, awesome. So, all right, Nakeia, I do a lightning round with my guests at the end of the episode. Before we get into that, was there anything else that you wanted to add or forgot to cover?
No, thank you, Barrett.
All right, awesome. So let's get into the lightning round. Coffee or tea, and how do you like it prepared?
Coffee, absolutely. Every day, multiple times a day. um, just creamer.
Okay, just plain unflavored creamer. Gotcha. Okay. Pie or cake, and do you have a favorite kind?
Cheesecake?
Yeah, absolutely.
um, Probably strawberry cheesecake.
Okay, gotcha. All right. What's a common belief among entrepreneurs that you would want to challenge?
That everything has to be perfect before you start. And I was one of those people like this doesn't feel complete, and I can't. But you have to just do it.
Especially being somebody who has to read 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. It's like until all of the unknowns are figured out. But
Right.
like we've talked about, There's going to be unknowns that you couldn't even know until you got started. So.
Not even in those 1,000 pages.
Yep. The book's 2,000 pages. Nobody told me that.
Right. There's a part 2.
Yep. Awesome. What's your favorite holiday and why?
I would have to say Christmas. Because I've been dedicated to redefining what that looks like. Growing up, Christmas was like, my grandmother was like the Christmas boss. And I remember her like bullying my mom and my aunts into like, you have to spend all the money you have to make sure these kids have all the things. That's not so long. I started homeschooling some years ago, and pretty early on in motherhood, I realized that like those things will be broken tomorrow, or they're just going to play with the box, right? So I was committed to like, okay, we'll study this region in school and then we'll visit. They will have those memories forever. So it's been really fun redefining what Christmas is for us.
Awesome. So do you guys take a trip at Christmas then? Oh, yep. Cool. That's neat. Mm-hmm. Are you a morning person or a night person? Do you have a routine that you love?
My routine is not having a routine. I am not a morning, like, I guess most people believe that like business owners are.
All of them are up at 4 a.m.
Like, you know, the
early bird gets the word.
I would never eat. I'm a night person through and through. And I guess I have the CPA exam to thank for that, because I had to study after work, right? So I would be up till 3 a.m. And then I would tell people like I would solve problems in my sleep. Like I would study in my sleep. If I went to bed with like a far sim that I
solve
didn't
it
in my sleep, and then I would get up and like, oh, this is it, right?
I can't tell you the number of tax returns I've resolved at 2:00 in the morning. Write a note,
you get it.
Roll over, write a note, put it back down, look at it the next morning, and be like, wow, that's actually pretty smart.
Exactly.
I get it.
So I'm definitely a night person. I dread mornings. I do them, but I don't like it.
What is one thing that you would want your successor to remember you for following in your shoes?
Compassion. It is so easy to forget why you do this. You know, money could be a motivation, and that's okay, right? But that's not sustainable, because insurance is hard. It is like, and I've said that several times, right? And I can't say it enough. It's hard. It's hard. The changes are hard. The conversations are hard. The losses are hard. So there
are other ways you could make a living.
Oh,
that's not signing up for all this.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, compassion, even for the people who call you the spawn of Satan because their premium went up. Like you have to see every one of those people, and you know, because I want to be remembered for being compassionate.
Awesome. Where are you finding creativity right now?
Just having to reinvent the business. Like, things change quickly, and you got to be creative. And so like like people close to me will tell you that I'm a robot. Like my kids say, "Mom, you're a robot." Because my fun is studying, right? So I don't give like main character energy at all. Like I was really trying to figure out like, where do I find creativity? And it's like I create best by working. So just finding new ways to serve my book of business, and to serve my employees, and to keep everyone engaged, and to maintain the trust and the goodwill. If you ask me, that takes some creativity.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. All right. And what do you have coming up this year that's got you excited?
Expanding. Expanding in spite of all the obstacles makes me excited. Because
New location or just the
just
additional employee or
additional employees. I want to get back to accounting. That makes me excited. Because I felt like I had to abandon that for a minute. I needed to give insurance my everything until I knew it well. Because I couldn't have, like, how do you purchase a book of business with thousands of policies and not give it your all, right? Um, but I miss my baby. So I'm excited about being able to get back to accounting, being able to merge the two, um, and just growing the business in spite of all of the obstacles. Because for as much um, winging of life that I've done, I think it makes for a great story. And I guess I'm just ready to see what else happens.
yeah. Yeah, nobody's interested in the adventure story where it's like the hero woke up and everything fell into place, and then the hero, retired. It's like, well, that's the most boring story I've ever
Yeah.
heard.
Oh my goodness.
So, and that's what I love about entrepreneurship. I'm sure you do too, is it's like you throw a challenge at us and we're going to figure out a way to work around it. And this is the reality, and we're going to pivot and we're going to adjust and we're going to shift and we're going to remake the world the way that it needs to be in the face of this new obstacle. So awesome. Love it. I've really enjoyed this conversation with you, Nakeia. This has been energizing for me going into tax season here. Where can people find out more about you and reach out to you if necessary?
So we have Facebook, Oliver Mack Insurance, Instagram, Oliver Mack Insurance. We have our website, olivermackinsurance.com. And we are working on all the new ways to be front and center in our community. We're working with small businesses to build referral programs. So we have a lot happening this year.
Awesome. I'm going to have you on in the future to talk about just marketing and client relationships and stuff like that at some point. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for being a guest, Nakeia. I've really enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Barrett. We'll talk soon, of course.
I hope that you've enjoyed this interview with Nakeia Mack. We have new episodes twice a month, interviewing business owners with their own succession stories. If you'd like to be a guest on the Art of Succession podcast, you can find our interview form linked below. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with others, and I want to thank you for watching The Art of Succession.